Trade prospects in the UK, Benelux and Ireland don't exactly look great with the overhang of the Eurozone crisis. But what are the prospects looking forward to 2012? With us is David Marsden, who is the Director for the TDC in that area. David, really looking forward and looking at the prospects that you might see in the future. What is it that you'd be looking at in terms of Hong Kong's trade with the Benelux, British and Irish economies?
The economies in Western Europe are in a pretty fragile state at the moment. Domestic demand is flat or even zero. British companies, Dutch companies, Belgian companies are of necessity looking east. And indeed, I was told by our friends in Invest Hong Kong last week that the outflow of investment projects from the West to China, to Hong Kong to be specific, has increased dramatically this year. And indeed, at the end of last year, of the 600 and something live investment projects handled by Invest Hong Kong, over 1/3 were coming from Western Europe, with the biggest contributor being the United Kingdom. So yes, British companies are definitely coming over here.
Think Asia, Think Hong Kong was the Big Bang campaign that your office looked after in the last year. But what effect did that have on UK companies in looking towards Asia and Hong Kong?
Well, I hope you won't think me immodest if I say that I think it focused people's minds. Just to say that it was the biggest ever Hong Kong campaign held in Europe by the TDC. It was also, inter alia, the biggest ever China event held in the UK, market where there are many, many China events carrying on. And I think it persuaded our British friends, the British governments, the trade associations, the chambers of commerce, the companies themselves, that now is definitely the time to move to Asia, China especially, Hong Kong in particular. And we're seeing them turning up literally in droves.
The British Chancellor, George Osborne, was here in Hong Kong at the Asian Financial Forum this year, and he talked about launching the RMB in London. That's the renminbi, the Chinese renminbi. It's already been launched as a currency in Hong Kong as an external market. But do you think that London and Hong Kong will be partners, or will they be competitors?
No, I think definitely a partner. The British government is delighted at the London-Hong Kong RMB Forum, which has been established. This is the partnership between the two cities in RMB trading, and I think that's a way forward for London. But let's look at the figures. I learned from the office of Mr. Norman Chan, the head of our Hong Kong MA today, that 90% of current trade settlements in the RMB is handled in Hong Kong. Only 10% is handled by London. So we are in a pretty commanding position at the moment.
Where it comes to conventional trade, that is from sort of Hong Kong traders but heading towards the West and heading towards the UK, Benelux and Ireland, one hears, and certainly we have a report from your office, that actually many of the people that are spending money in London, perhaps even on Hong Kong goods, are actually Chinese mainland shoppers.
Okay, let me take the trade question first. The world is changing. Asia used to be the supplier of low-cost light consumer goods. The UK, Western Europe used to be the investor in Asia. What is happening now is that the focus of economic activity and wealth is moving to Asia. We are buying far more from Britain. Say, let me use Britain as an example. Our imports into Hong Kong from Britain are much higher than they used to be. Last year, British exports to Hong Kong increased by 25% to an all-time high of $6.3 billion US. Our exports to Britain have settled down to about 7.2. So the trade partnership, which has always been heavily in Hong Kong's favour up to now, is now much more balanced. And I think we're about to see Hong Kong become a net importer from Britain. And of course, as you say, they're only buying the best. Bentley, Burberry, Aquascutum. Aquascutum has been physically bought lock, stock and barrel by a Hong Kong investor. Now, going back to London, going to Oxford Street, London's premier shopping street. Selfridges, one of the best stores in the world. I walked around there recently. I walked through the Burberry department, absolutely quiet. I was looking at the collar of a £7,000 green leather coat, and the only conversation I could hear was two very elegant-looking Chinese ladies chatting in Mandarin to a Chinese sales assistant. These ladies are the only ones with the money.